Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running It. Today we're going to do a comparison review or should I upgrade episode of the New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite version 4 versus the New Balance Fuel Cell SC Elite version 5. Now, these are both part of New Balance's top super racing shoe. Version 4 was very interesting where it certainly was not the fastest of all the super shoes out there, but it certainly was one of the more comfortable ones and one of the less aggressive ones that I suggested heavily to a lot of people either going, hey, I'm just getting into a super shoe, what should I try? This is a great option. People are going, I need a super shoe that maybe will fit a wider foot or a higher volume foot. The upper was really, really great for that. And people are going, hey, I'm not the fastest runner. I don't want the most aggressive shoe. I still want a super shoe. The SC Elite version 4 really, really fit the bill. Really comfortable, very rockered. And some people have run some really fast times in it. It's just not the top racing shoe on the market at that time. And then things kind of started to move in different directions where version 5 came out and I was looking at it going, this looks different, and I can tell you after almost 50 miles in my pair, it's a very different shoe. So it's much more aggressive, not nearly as friendly. So people going, hey, I'm in version 4, should I try version 5? Or people going, I'm interested in New Balance line, which one might work better for me? That's the whole purpose of this review, is hopefully help you answer that question because these shoes are very different. Now, as always, we're going to start off with specs in my men's size 10. So the SC Elite version 4 is coming in at 8.9 ounces for my size 10, or about 254 grams. Version 5 comes in much lighter at 7.8 ounces for my size 10, or about 222 grams. So they chopped over an ounce of weight off these two into version 5, so much lighter on foot. The stack height is also different between these. The heel is the same, 40 millimeters in the heel. In version 4, it was 36 millimeters in the forefoot for a 4 millimeter drop, and that felt very, very low, and that was noticeable, those who want a lower drop shoe. This is great. It kind of worked my calves a little bit too much for me, and version 5 addresses that, where it's now an 8 millimeter drop because it's 40 in the heel, 32 in the forefoot, like I said, for an 8 millimeter drop, and the differences really go from there. So version 4, very soft underfoot. You can see even the geometry, very rockered, very easygoing ride. Yes, there was a plate, but it wasn't the stiffest thing on the planet. Very comfortable. I could even walk around in this and it was fine. I'm not suggesting that, but really nice, comfortable ride. Version 5 does not have the same super soft cushioning. The heel still has cushioning, but the overall fuel cell compound is a little bit firmer and a little bit more snappy underfoot. And that's also because there's a little less stack height in the forefoot, and that plate just feels way more prominent in version 5 versus version 4. There's also less of a rocker geometry, and you can see that. Heel, forefoot, it's not as rockered, and that's really how it feels. It doesn't roll long. This is a shoe that you got to be moving quick for this to feel good, and that plate is super stiff. Yes, there's no flexibility to version 4, but version 5, just because of the lower rocker profile, just feels like you got to really push the shoe. And when you do, it feels great. I've actually used this for a lot of long runs, and it's actually done really well. And we'll talk about why I think I've been able to do that, because I wasn't expecting this with a narrow platform, but just a more stiff ride that's going to reward those who push really hard and run a little bit faster. Version 4 isn't like that. It's the softer, bouncier ride that rolls really nicely. Whether you're running at an easy pace, a slower pace, or you're picking up the pace, this one has more versatility, but version 5 beats it when it comes to all-out speed, because if I had to choose between these two, if I was running something fast, version 5 would easily be it, but version 4 is the more relaxed ride that I think is going to work a lot better for recreational runners. For the elite runner or those looking to run faster, because of, like I said, the increased stiffness, version 5 is going to work better. I like version 5 because I don't like really soft shoes, and so yes, there's still good somewhat soft cushioning in the heel, but the forefoot firms up and feels a really nice place to toe off from. So if that's something you want, that's something that's going to be in version 5, whereas if you don't want that, you want the lower drop, rolling, rockered, easygoing shoe, version 4 is going to be the better option. I have done much faster workouts in version 5 than version 4, so if you push really hard for the forefoot, like I said, this is probably going to be the option. If you're not someone like that, version 4 will be the better option. Now, this is where we get into stability a little bit, because what's really weird, version 4 was fine, I just couldn't do long runs in it. A lot of super shoes I can't because they're just not stable enough. It is fine, like it's not unstable shoe, it's actually fairly guided, it's fairly central because it's a really wide sole, and these are noticeably different in width. Like they cut off a lot of weight from decreasing the width in version 5 compared to version 4. The really nice central groove throughout the middle that saves weight in version 4 and also keeps it somewhat centered. It's just, for me, the softer ride maybe work a little bit harder than I would like, but it's still got some nice mild guidance for those that might need it on top of the softer sole. Version 5 is not the same. And I think I figured out why Andrea really doesn't like this shoe, and I do. And we didn't touch on this as much in our review, and maybe we'll do an argument session, a podcast session about this. But one of the things that I really like is the forefoot medial flare is really significant. I need some medial forefoot stability. It works really, really well for me. And because of how much the sole pops out on the medial side, it really prevents some motion there. So like really almost not quite a post, but it provides a nice bit of guidance when you're trying to toe off. So that for me works extremely well and actually offsets the cutout in the heel, although this center groove does a good job of still keeping you somewhat centered. There is a medial sidewall here, and the version 4 had some mild sidewalls, but I think the biggest thing that works for me, and it's going to not work for other people, while version 4 was somewhat centered, version 5 is actually laterally biased. And you can see very slightly the way the bevel is set up, even though it's smaller, you can actually see if you look at this, that the medial side is actually just a little bit higher than the lateral side. I thought it was nuts at first going, how am I able to take this through long runs? I haven't been able to take a lot of super shoes through long runs. Why would this shoe with such a narrow midfoot be working for me? And then I realized later on, I was looking going, oh, because it's laterally biased and I need some medial stability, that's why. So if you roll on a lateral side of your foot, this is not gonna work for you. If you have mild medial guidance needs, especially in the forefoot, this shoe actually might work. So very different directions this shoe will take you. It's not a stability shoe. The midfoot definitely isn't stable based on how narrow it is, but some of these mechanisms actually work for some people, it's gonna do really, really well. So medial forefoot stability, you're gonna do really well. Maybe if you can tolerate a little bit of lateral push, this is gonna be okay, but version 4 is gonna be the less biased option. It's soft, it's not a stability shoe, neither one of these are, but this one's gonna be more centered. Finally, upper, totally different. Version 4, higher volume. You can see I really had to lock the laces down because for me, I don't have a higher volume foot. Wider fit, upper was nice to stretch you with the Phantom fit. The new version is more racing style, although it's still got a little bit of comfort where the forefoot's actually a little bit wider. I can actually spread my toes just a little bit without being sloppy. And then the heel and midfoot snug up just a little bit as you expect for a racing shoe. I didn't have to tie the laces that tight to get a secure fit. No real heel slippage. There is a little bit of a mildly stiff heel counter in the rear foot on both of these. So if you have sensitive heels, you know, it's not the stiffest thing, so just be careful. But people that want a really stiff counter, these may not work. But the uppers, this is gonna be a little more snug, a little bit lower volume with the wider forefoot. Version 4 is gonna have a lot more room throughout. So if you have a narrow foot, version 5, or you want a snug fit, version 5 is gonna be better. If you don't want that, version 4 is gonna be better. So at the end of the day, really different shoes. This is more of the aggressive racer that New Balance is working for. I don't think it's quite where it needs to be compared to some of its competitors, but is much better in terms of being aggressive and competing and being able to push some faster paces. Versus version 4, you're gonna find this on sale. There's a reason why this series has been really, really popular. It works for a lot of different people. It's got a little more accommodating fit. It's got a little more relaxed ride that works still for faster paces, but also for easier stuff. A lot of people are still gonna gravitate for version 4. So if those are some things you want, go this direction. But for me, version 5 is the one that's really working for me. I'm gonna keep getting miles on it, and we'll see if I can get this to 100 miles and hopefully the outsole doesn't rip off, because surprisingly, I have like 40, 50 miles and these things haven't ripped off yet. And I will see how this goes and keep you updated. But as always, I want you to let me know, hey, do you agree or disagree with me? Comment below for other people, not just me, to go, hey, what are your experiences with this? The more people we get to comment, the better, because people have different experiences in different shoes, and I want you all to be able to share in addition to me so we can help people figure out what works best for them and keep everybody healthy so they can just go and enjoy their run.